Welcome back. So this is where we had left and we will take it from here. So we had designed this card and then we have tested it in the browser. Let's go and then quickly check in the browser also. Uh, that's how it looks. And our concern was that why is it not looking like a card? And I was telling you that the block elements is actually making it what we see in the screen. It's acquiring the whole width of the page. So the width needs to be defined, and we just have to define the width for the div which contains all these four elements inside. So let's jump back to our code, and here in the style.css we will add one more property by saying width, and I want the card to be of around 350 pixels. So I'm going to type it out, and now if I go here, you see that automatically the card is looking more like a card now. I think 350 is too much, so or maybe we need to increase the size of the image. So now is the time when we work with the image. Let's go to the index.html, and remember in the video earlier to this where I was talking about that this is not a good practice, right? What if we remove this line of code from here and then go back to our page? So this is disturbing the entire layout, and if you don't define the content for the image, the size for the image, it's going to just place itself with its original size. Now let's experiment. I'm gonna say Control Z couple of times to get back the width of about 200 pixels, and let's see what happens. So in this case, what is happening, the width of the image is acting in its own independently regarding the size of the browser. Size of the box is bigger than this, right? So instead of writing here, if I do it here, and how do we do it here? Because we need to tell it that now this is how you can address an element which is inside an element. So I'm going to type in card first and then hit space and then say img. Img is a reserved class, so I don't have to put any dot in front of it, and then go in between the open and close curly braces and type in here width, and this way I can do the same thing by typing in 200 pixel, right? The result is same, but here we are doing it from CSS. Now the benefit of doing it with CSS is that this one line of code can control as many as cards we make, okay? While otherwise we had to specifically type the width of each and every card, right? And which is also fine. If I just need to copy this whole code and paste it like 5 times, but what happens if the client tells you that, listen, the width of the image is not what we are liking, so can you increase it or decrease it? In that case, you have to make the changes in 5 places, and this is just one single page. Your images might be, or the cards might be spread. Think of it like a card contains product information, which has options of adding to the cart and buying the item, and those cards are in so many pages, like thousands and thousands of pages. In a typical e-commerce website, there are many pages where those cards are going to appear. How can you change the width of the image if you do it in HTML file in all the places? That is very difficult. So it's a good idea that you do it in the style.css file. But the width again is 200 pixel. I want this to span across the width of the card, and that can be very simply done. And another example, let's say that I go and then make it 300 pixel. So the image becomes bigger, right? What if I make it 500 pixels? So the moment it goes beyond 350 pixel, what is happening? The image is pushing itself outside, right? Okay, now this may look like a nice style, but I don't intend to make it like this. So rather than typing a unit which is obsolete, we have to go for a relative unit. So instead of writing 500 pixels, I'm just gonna write 100%. So what it is going to do is acquire the 100% width available of the card plus 10 pixel ka padding. This padding is still active. So 10 pixel padding in all sides, and whatever is left, it's going to acquire that entire space. So also understand the resultant width of the card now is 350 pixel plus 10 pixel padding on either of the sides. Okay, unless if I want it to be 350 pixel exactly, we have to use a property here which is called border box sizing, and we will choose border box. What this does is it includes the padding into the width. Otherwise 10 pixel padding on all sides means 10 on the left, 10 on the right, so that makes it 20 plus the width. If you have this line of code going on, it will make sure that it's taking the padding from the width itself. So resultant width is 350 and the image width is 330, which is set by width 100%. Okay, so we have created the card. Next thing is we want this card to be in the center. So for that we have just couple of properties we can tweak. In the card only we can write margin left and set it to auto, then margin right and set it to auto as well. So if you do this, the card will come in the center of the page. It's automatically setting the margin here, automatically setting it here, and both are equal. So the card is going to be posted in the center of the page. And even if you refresh the browser, resize the browser, you will see the card will always stick to the middle of the page. Okay, and you can have some margin from the top also, which pushes this from the top of the browser page. So I'm gonna type margin top and I'm gonna go for about 100 pixels. Okay, nice. Now I want to add some corner radius. You know, this is looking very sharp, and the image I have is kind of soft, right, in terms of its expression. So I want to round off the corners a while. So I'm going to go to the card and see here, if I write the codes for rounding off the corners, it will only affect the div. If I copy the same thing and paste it here as well, that's gonna corner out the images as well. So the way we do it here is by typing in border radius, and then the first value I'm gonna put. Okay, so this is the radius. I thought I'm defining shadow. When we go there, then I'll tell you about how the border shadows are defined. So border radius is 10 pixel. Instantly you see it's get rounded, looks much better. And also this blue color is not making much of a sense. I would rather pick out something from this image itself, a lighter beige or something like that. So just hover on top of it, okay, and then just you can navigate to the color of your choice. I want something lighter, something more warm, something like this. Let's see how it looks. Yeah, this looks fine. Okay, now I want the border radius of the image also to be rounded 10 pixels. So I'm just gonna copy that line and paste it here, and you can see that the image is also rounded. There are many properties which you can explore. You can have an outline also, you can have drop shadow, you can have inset. So for example, let's say I want this image to be punched in inside the card. So what I can do is type in box shadow and then choose inset. That's the first property, and then 10 pixel, 10 pixel, 10 pixel, and let's say go for black. Well, so I think we need to copy this line here, and so we should be able to see the black, the drop shadow is showing up right now, but I want it inside. So now let's paste it here. Let's see if it does the work or not. No, it's not doing. So guys, here is a challenge for you. Find out how inset property works. Okay, so let's take up this challenge. So I'm gonna go to W3C school first, or just type in inset CSS, right, and W3C schools. That will take you to the page where they have defined the CSS inset property. W3C School is an amazing resource. From time to time, I always keep coming back here and then looking for references. So here it says, okay, so this property inset is actually setting up an inset, right? It's more like a padding. This is not what we are looking for. We are looking for inset box shadow. Okay, CSS box shadow property, and I'm looking for an example where they have used inset, right? These are the values. So I see that inset value optional. Okay, this need not to be used also, but if we want, it can be used for changing the shadow from outer shadow outset to our inner shadow. And then I have a demo, so let's click on the demo and check the codes. Okay, here it says box shadow. Do we have inset value here? No, we don't have. But let's see here, this option has inset written. So let's click on this and let's try it ourselves. So first I'm just gonna reduce the blur amount so that we can clearly see what is happening there. Okay, and run it. So that's how it looks. And then after pink, I don't want pink, let me just have black here, that will make more sense. So I have a black shadow, and maybe reduce the X offset, Y offset and blur value also, and run it. Okay, and this also to 5, and then add inset to it and say run. See what happened? This is what we also want. So I'm just going to copy these 4 lines, go to the VS Code, and let's paste all that here. Okay, but here it is not rendering. I don't know for what reason it is not rendering, but you see that this works. Okay, so let's go check in the browser if it is working for us or not. And I don't in fact have to refresh the page, but it's not working. I know why it is not working, but I'll not tell you why it is not working. Go and find it out yourself. The clue is that here it's applied on a div. Here we are dealing with an image. So do we need to take a different route? What mistake am I doing? Find it out. And the answers are here somewhere. Okay, so that's a challenge for you. Let's move to the next part. Don't want box shadow here on the image anyway, because that's not my intention for the card. We have built this card, right? And if I want drop shadow on the div, this is the place where I'm gonna put it. So let's put a drop shadow real quick. So I'm gonna say box shadow, and the first value I'm putting, which is 10 pixel, is gonna offset the shadow towards the right hand side. Okay, and then 10 pixel will offset it in the, here you can see that the shadow is building up. And okay, let me just zoom out a little so that you can see as I build the shadows how it is appearing. So 10 pixel pushes it on the right hand side, 10 pixel pushes it down. You can see if I set it to 0, it will not have any X offset, just the Y offset, and that's why you see this black shadow coming up here. It will be more clearer in the browser. Okay, and then if I type 10 pixel, it's going to soften out the shadow a little, so it blurs it out. Okay, looks nice. If I want more blur, I can have more blur. If I want lesser offset, I can have lesser offset. So let's go for 5 here and 15 here to make it more soft. Right, looks like a card. Okay, so we have built the card. One additional thing, just real quick, let's say that I want to make this part bold. How can we do that? We simply have to go to the HTML and then wrap this entire thing in strong tag. So you start with a strong tag, close the strong tag and cut this much of text, this is something just additional. I wanted to show you what are the possibilities, and then the more you explore, the more you learn. So don't see, now it is bold. Okay, so oh, my mouse gave up. I think it stopped working all of a sudden. Yeah. Anyway, I'll use the trackpad. So that's pretty much it about the card. Now the next challenge is to build the web page. Here you can pause the video, follow along, reverse the video, rewind it as many as times you want, and then make sure that you have reached here. And after this, we'll be starting with the web page we are supposed to build. So let's quickly sum up whatever we have learned so far by referring to the document where we started. We learned about how HTML content are structured, how CSS and HTML works together. Then we have sort of understood about HTML classes. IDs I haven't told you yet, and because we haven't used IDs yet, but in further demonstrations you will learn about IDs as well. So we have used classes and reserved tags only. Then we have also styled the text, and we have styled the layout with CSS box model. For styling the text, this is, you can consider styling the text. You can do much more with the text though. So for example, if I want to change the color of H1, I can do so just by referring to H1 here and saying color. Okay, and I can change it to brown. See? So experiment as much as you want with it, and then make your amazing card. And I'll see you in the next video.